My name is Mmantlha Sankoloba. I represent, of course, a group of companies that are into manufacturing and exporting. The association is called Botswana Exporters and Manufacturers Association. And I also represent an organization that is called African Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States. In short, it's called OECP as Business Forum. And of course, today I'll be focused much more on my role within the Botswana Exporters and Manufacturing Association, and probably just give you a short background of what the association is about. It's about companies that do manufacture within the Botswana space. And the beauty part of it is that they do not limit themselves to the space within the only 2.3 million population that we have as Botswana, but they do also explore export markets. I think that is why it's very, very important that we interact here today with the world, because we are looking not only into the Botswana space, but also across the globe. And I am very, very happy today to be here because the network presents itself as an enabling factor that will allow companies in Botswana to be able to trade with other companies across the globe. So today I'll be talking mainly about the manufacturing sector and the exporting capabilities that they have, especially as Botswana, and also the influence of technology within the space of manufacturing, because sometimes we take it for granted that African countries, especially from where I come from, they're at the same level as other countries across the globe. For example, your Germany. I remember the other time I visited Germany and I presented the scope of what I have, and I defined my large scale as in its own definition, like within the scope that it was in terms of turnover and in terms of the number of employees that they had. And only to learn that in Germany, actually, that they would only qualify as a small scale, as a family business. And for that, it was a reality shock for me, like, okay, I'm in Africa and I'm going through this, and obviously the experiences are different, and obviously levels of development are totally different. And that was a reality shock, like, okay, we still have a lot to do, especially when it comes to technology. What are the newest technology trends that are happening around the world that we need to catch up on? And again, are we ready as Africa, especially, to adopt certain technical introductions that the world would probably have already started with? And the one thing that I've also gotten to appreciate is the benefits of technology in manufacturing. And one of the benefits that I have appreciated is the fact that technology in its nature improves quality. I think when I compare within my membership, within the companies that I represent, when I compare the quality of goods that are produced through advanced technology and those that are not, you would certainly appreciate the difference. You certainly appreciate that there's different in delivery of quality. There's difference in the output, in the product itself, when you compare to the one that is infused with the latest trends of technology that is around the world. However, it does not necessarily mean that we don't have other products that have to be tailor-made. Some of them have to be handmade for you to really appreciate the quality. It does not necessarily mean that you have to infuse technology in every product that you do. However, it has to be some of them have to be appreciated because they're handmade. Some of them have to be priced highly. They have to be priced high simply because they're handmade. Some of them have to be marketed in high-end markets simply because they're handmade. And the appreciation here would be that it's very, very important to now realize and appreciate where in manufacturing does technology fit, and where in manufacturing does technology add value, where in manufacturing does quality equate to the type of technology that you're introducing. So products are very unique in their nature, depending on what kind of product you're making and how the market itself dictates or appreciate the product the way it is. And the other factor that is appreciated, of course, because of technology, introduction of technology, is the fact that it reduces costs. Reduces costs because there's better efficiency, there's better, you can manage your long-term cost savings, because you literally have to now be efficient with your time, because time is money, of course. When you're into production, the longer the time that you take to do something, the more costly it gets for you. But if you were to introduce the kind of technology that can advance, that can bring about efficiency, that means that you are able to reduce your cost and you are able to be efficient at the same time. And of course, it does also decrease production time. Of course, this is like a given. The longer, when you do something with your hands, or when you not infusing technology, there's an element of you taking a bit more time compared to a company that is using advanced technology in that aspect. So it does definitely has an advantage of decreasing production time. And of course, it does also optimize supply chain. It does optimize supply chain in such a way that the entire supply chain benefits from the production that you make. Because here's the thing, if you produce on time, if you produce at high quality, if you produce within the costs that are meant for that product, it's very easy for you now to be trusted supplier. It's very easy for even your customers to rely on you, to know that their goods will be supplied on time, will be delivered on time, because the issue of time is naturally taken care of by just simply introducing the technology that is appropriate for the kind of production that you're making. And of course, there is very much appreciated consistent results that you have when you have automated technology that you're introducing in your company, because there is no human error. I know that when you are using your hand or you're not using technology, we are human. There's always human error that comes along with your line of production. But if you have technology that you have introduced that is equally automated, there's reduction of mistakes or errors prone to humans that are more likely to create. And of course, it fosters a safer working place. Machines do the job, and the dangers are well managed and preventing. You can easily prevent injury and risk of, especially in the construction industry. I know there's a lot of physical and a lot of risks that happen within that space. But if you have automated technology within your working space, it's easier to foster a safer working space for your employees. And of course, through technology, it's also easier to identify the risk and develop safety measures, because of course, this is technology that you are in control of as a human. And it's very easy for you now to be able to mitigate factors of risk, to mitigate factors of safety around the space at which your employees are working, or your company is working. And of course, especially from the African space that we operate from, there is naturally tech and innovation disadvantages that we have, or that we experience, or that we face, or we even anticipate, especially for those that are still behind in adopting technology into their industries. Because the thing that I think one of the factors that has to be realized is the fact that there's high unemployment, especially in Africa. Of course, I'll give an example of my country. There's high unemployment, especially of the youth. The young people, they are highly unemployed. And then it becomes a risk to want to adopt technology, because you think about the number of employees that you've employed. And if you are to increase production, you think about the number of employees that you can possibly employ. And once you mitigate all these factors, introducing technology and cutting off your staff and not employing more people, it becomes a risk that most of the companies do not want to take. And remember that some of the countries or some of the companies are operating in countries where they are foreign, and some of them number of employment of employees really really counts for them to remain operational, especially to get the licensing and permits that they need for them to operate. So there's a very it's a catch-22. It's either you do it. If you do it, there's consequences that you face, there's risks that you face. If you don't do it again, there's the advantages, of course, of timeliness that I've just mentioned that you probably would miss out on. So it's a catch-22. So one, unemployment, loss of jobs. It's one of the things that would be anticipated as a factor, as a disadvantage for a company in manufacturing to adopt using the latest technology. So of course, it's like that. It's either you do it or you don't. If you do it, it's a disadvantage for you in other factors. If you do it, it's an advantage for you in other factors. So it's very, very important that companies now weigh between the two to see whether it's something that they have to go along and take a risk, and if the risk is it's worth it for their operations. And of course, it comes at a cost, high initial cost, especially when you have to remember that countries like Botswana, where I come from, we mostly import a whole lot of machinery that we use. We do not have a highly industrialized manufacturing sector, and therefore we are prone to importing especially high-end machinery from countries such as from your China, from your India, from wherever across the world where we would find such machineries. And this comes at a high cost, because we are talking about a very, very landlocked country that is very far from the sea. And of course, transportation costs for us especially are a bit more higher compared to other countries around us. So issues of cost of acquiring such machinery for you to be able to utilize your technology, it's extremely high. And in countries like ours, where incentives are not necessarily there for manufacturing sector, it becomes extremely high for them to be able to adopt certain technologies. So it's a cost, especially when they initially try to adopt such technology. The other one would be machine breakdowns. We don't have yet the skills that are required, especially for maintenance of such machinery. Yes, you might have the machinery, but it's still going to cost you for you to get that machinery fixed upon the time that it needs some fixing. So now you are forced to incur another cost of transportation out of the country. You are forced now to incur another cost of finding the right and appropriate skilled mechanic for that particular machinery. And sometimes in most cases, companies are forced to now import skills. They are forced to now get skilled people from across the world to come and just for fixing a machine breakdown. And again, it does not just happen in a day. You probably need that machinery immediately for your production to run. But now you are forced to wait for a permit for that particular expert, and then they have to travel all the way here to Botswana for them to be able to mitigate that problem. So it's a very costly process, just from acquiring machinery and then getting it to be fixed as and when it's required for that to happen. So it's a very costly thing for the manufacturers. And of course, there is a future of technology in manufacturing. It's unavoidable. It has to be adopted, one or the other. There has to be a way to balance the two, to see where are the advantages. Perhaps even speak to policy at government level to see how does the government also support the move of manufacturing towards policy, towards the adoption of the latest technology, especially when it comes to issues of employment. As I said before, we are one of the countries in Africa that have been hit hard, especially after the pandemic, the COVID-19 experiences, and of course the war between Ukraine and Russia. There has been spillovers of negative impact within the manufacturing sector. So it has been extremely very difficult. So I think it's now a question of trying to see how you bring about even the government into policy issues. How do we enable the manufacturing sector to be able to adopt technology with ease, such that there is no fear of them trying to weigh between not adopting technology and adopting technology? Because the thing is, the world is moving, and there is the advent of the Industry 4.0 advances in technology, such as robotics. When will we ever adopt such? So it's a question of trying to see how policy can also advance, how policy can also come in to try to enable companies to easily and seamlessly adopt technologies that would be able to enable them to produce more. Because the more technology and advanced technology is used, the more they can be able to be trusted as in supply chains, and also be able to trade with the world. Because the thing is, as I said earlier, we are a very small population of 2.3 million people, and that represents the domestic market that we have. And therefore, it's very important that there's an enabling of use of technology, of high tech, such that we can produce in such a way that capacity can also be able to address demand. I know we have tried in so many ways to get to other markets, such as the American markets through the AGOA. And one of the factors that really made it difficult for our companies in Botswana is the fact that we could not produce up to the capacity that would be demanded by such huge markets. And of course, with the adoption of technology, this could have been a different story altogether for our country to be able to produce in such a way that they can be able to supply the demand of the markets. And again, we are speaking of the free continental African trade area, the AfCFTA. This is a huge market of over 1.4 billion. And how will we, if we don't adopt technologies that are trending, that are current, the AIs, the robotics, how will we be able to supply such markets? So I think it's very important that as we talk about international trade, as we talk about exporting to bigger markets, that we do consider introducing policies that will enable even incentives. I know that our country especially is one of those countries that are still behind in terms of introducing incentives that would be encouraging companies to digitalize, to adopt technologies. So I think it's something that we really need to speak to policy and government and see how that can be mitigated. And of course, it's a very interesting that we are here today to interact with the world and see how we can adopt certain technologies, and of course advance in collaborations and partnerships to see how our companies can also learn from the already advanced industries around the world. So thank you very much. That's my take.